You ever have one of those moments where everything you thought you knew about someone just evaporates in seconds? Yeah, that happened to me. One Tuesday morning, I was sipping my coffee, half listening to a podcast while answering emails, when my entire world collapsed one notification at a time. First it was the HR email, then the blocked access, then the silence. And just like that, the career I spent a decade building vanished. No warning, no explanation, just gone. At first I thought it was some kind of mistake, a glitch in the system. Maybe someone hit the wrong button. But then I got the message from her. The one I trusted the most, the one I mentored, promoted, stood up for when no one else would. She wrote, "It's just business. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." That line played over and over in my head like a sick joke. But here's the thing about betrayal: doesn't break you. It wakes you the hell up. I spent years playing by the rules, being polite, letting things slide, believing that hard work would speak for itself. Not anymore. I'm done playing nice. What they didn't know, what she didn't know, was that I keep everything, every email, every file, every whisper of shady behavior they tried to sweep under the rug. I was their vault, their confidant, their fixer. So when they threw me under the bus to protect their perfect little empire, they assumed I'd disappear quietly. Big mistake. Because when someone tries to erase you, you've got two choices: fade away or burn their house down with the truth. I chose fire. And what happened next? Let's just say they never saw it coming. After I read that message, "It's just business. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be," I sat there, frozen, like my soul just shut off. I stared at the screen for a solid minute, not blinking, not breathing, just gone. That message came from Madison Blake. Yeah, Madison, the one I took under my wing 5 years ago when she was fresh out of grad school. She was wide-eyed, insecure, and completely green. I was the one who taught her how to write her first press release, how to handle a boardroom full of men who underestimated her, how to fight without showing your claws. And now, she'd just replaced me. I thought maybe it was a sick prank. But then I tried logging into my email again. Locked out, my Slack account gone, my phone disconnected from the company network. That was it. I was cut off. The worst part: no one called, no one checked in. No, "Are you okay?" No, "We're so sorry." Nothing. Not even from David, my boss for 8 years. The same David who used to text me, "You're the only one I trust during crisis PR nightmares." Silence. I spent the next 24 hours in my bathrobe, eating dry cereal and refreshing LinkedIn like a maniac. You'd think, after all I'd done, someone would at least ask what happened. But nope. Madison had already gone public with a carefully worded statement. After a period of restructuring, I'm honored to take on the role of Director of Corporate Communications. Restructuring, please. I was the one doing the restructuring. I kept replaying everything in my mind. Every late night, every crisis I managed, every dirty secret I kept for David, for the board, for all of them. They trusted me with everything, because they knew I'd never talk. They were right until now, because something inside me snapped. Not like a wild, screaming, throw your laptop kind of snap. This was quieter, colder, focused. I opened my old laptop, the one they forgot. I hadn't started digging through my files. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. But the deeper I went, the more it all came flooding back. Like the time I covered up that influencer scandal so it wouldn't affect our stock. Or when David told me to ghostwrite apology letters for the board. Or the hush-hush payoffs to keep interns quiet after accidents at corporate parties. Yeah, accidents. And then there were the recordings. See, one thing about working in PR is you learn to always protect yourself. So whenever I had a sketchy conversation, especially with executives, I recorded it. Not to use just as a backup. A habit. I never thought I'd need them. Until now. I made a folder, named it Plan B, started sorting everything. Every damning email, every shady expense report, every out-of-context but horrifying voice clip. Then I found the one that changed everything. A recorded meeting from 2 months before I was fired. Madison, David, and someone from legal, whispering about how Rachel's loyalty has become a liability, about how I knew too much, about how I'd never go public. She's too proud. They laughed. They were so sure of themselves, so sure I'd just go quietly. That's when I knew I wasn't going to expose them with a messy tweet storm or some anonymous leak. No, that would be too easy. I wanted precision. I wanted humiliation. I wanted every single person who stood by and let this happen to feel the cold sting of exposure from someone they underestimated. I was done being their fixer. Now I was going to be their reckoning. Asterisk, I didn't sleep for days. Not because I was upset, no, those emotions had come and gone. I was wired, alive. My brain lit up like a switchboard. Years of absorbing dirt, lies, and politics had finally found a purpose. I had always been the cleaner, the one who swept messes under the rug before anyone even saw the stain. But now, I was turning over the rug and lighting it on fire. The first step was isolation. They needed to feel safe, secure, confident that I was gone, forgotten, irrelevant. So I played dead. No LinkedIn updates, no angry tweets, no reaching out to press contacts. I even left town for 2 weeks, stayed with a friend in Vermont, posted a couple of wine in the woods photos on Instagram, just enough to say, I'm moving on. Let them relax. Let their guard down. Then, I got to work. I created a burner email, a completely clean identity. Clara Reynolds, freelance journalist. I crafted a detailed, anonymous tip and sent it to a handful of hungry online reporters. Not the big guys, no. The mid-tier outlets. The ones that dig harder because they're trying to break through inside a tech giant's culture of silence and control. Unreported scandals, executive cover-ups, HR manipulation, documents and recordings available. Attached was just a taster redacted email chain showing hush money being funneled to settle harassment claims. A blurred screenshot of an internal Slack conversation about manipulating mental health claims to fire someone legally. No names, not yet, and it worked. Within days, I got 3 bites, one from an editor I'd once done PR damage control for. He didn't recognize my writing. Thank God. He asked for proof, so I gave it to him. Not everything, but just enough to whet his appetite. Meanwhile, I reconnected with Darren, a former IT manager I'd helped keep his job 2 years ago. He owed me a favor. I asked him if he could still access the old system logs. He could. That's how I found it. The internal meeting calendar from the day I was terminated. A confidential transition strategy session between Madison, David, and the VP of HR. They'd planned my exit for months. The worst part, Madison had pitched it. I was livid, but also weirdly relieved. It confirmed what I already knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a hit. Corporate assassination. So I turned their weapon into mine. Darren also helped me recover an old internal presentation one Madison gave just weeks after I was fired. She reused my slides, my data, my crisis framework, literally copied and pasted, and presented it as her own. Plagiarism from a corporate communications director in a company that builds its reputation on authenticity. Perfect. I sent that too. While the reporters were digging, I had a different kind of fun. Direct messages. I reached out to a few junior employees I knew were disgruntled. Carefully, casually, just asking how things were. How the company had changed. If they were okay. Within minutes, the floodgates opened. One said she'd been pressured to sign an NDA after being screamed at by a VP. Another said her PTO requests kept disappearing. One even mentioned Madison had told her, "Don't expect Rachel's kind of hand-holding. This is a different era." Different era, huh? Okay, Madison. You want to lead. Let's see how you handle the storm. I timed everything perfectly. The first article dropped on a Monday morning, right as the market opened. Headline: Leaked email suggests pattern of harassment cover-ups at media tech firm. The article didn't name names yet, but everyone inside knew exactly who it was about. By noon, X was buzzing. Former employees chimed in. A few even hinted at NDAs. The stock dropped 3% by end of day. By Tuesday, the second article hit. This one included quotes from anonymous employees. Real ones. Ones I had coached behind the scenes, making sure they stayed legally safe but still impactful. On Wednesday, I released the audio. A 1-minute snippet, David saying, "If she talks, we bury her with lawyers." Madison laughing. "Rachel's old school. She won't fight back." Oops, the clip went viral. I watched their world collapse in real time. HR had to issue a statement. Madison locked her Twitter. David went radio silent. I got a DM from an internal comms specialist still working there. Holy *T. Are you behind this? I replied. No idea what you're talking about. Just enjoying the show. That Friday, the board announced an emergency review of leadership practices. A week later, David resigned. Madison was put on administrative leave, and me. I published my own Pasunda, my real name on Medium, why I stayed silent, and why I'm not anymore. It wasn't angry, it wasn't messy, it was surgical. I laid out years of patterns, with class, with receipts. I didn't beg for sympathy. I demanded accountability. It exploded. Every woman in corporate America who'd been blindsided, replaced, silence shared it, commented, emailed me, thanked me. They turned me into something I never expected, a symbol, asterisk after the Medium post. Things moved fast. By the time I refreshed my inbox an hour later, there were over 400 new emails, from old coworkers, from strangers, from reporters, from women I'd never met, pouring out their own stories. Some were still in the thick of it, fired for attitude problems, passed over for promotions after having kids, pushed aside by shiny new hires with shinier smiles. Wasn't just a PR casualty anymore. I was a freaking avalanche. Madison tried to clap back. She posted a shaky, overly formal video statement on LinkedIn, reading off a teleprompter. Like a hostage, saying she was heartbroken by the mischaracterizations and deeply committed to a culture of transparency. Girl, sit down. Within minutes, someone unearthed an old podcast she was on where she bragged about outmaneuvering the old guard, and how sometimes loyalty needs to be retired. It aged like milk. Her comments section turned into a wars in employees, former interns, even a few industry rivals. Everyone came for her. She disabled comments, then she disappeared. No press interviews, no second statement, no lawyer threats. She was done. David, meanwhile, was officially out. His resignation papered over with the usual fluff, looking forward to new opportunities and spending time with family. But off the record, he was under investigation. Turns out, someone from finance had passed along a little spreadsheet I never even knew existed, questionable expenses, undocumented bonuses, and something about a golf trip in the Caymans paid for with company funds. Oops. The company scrambled to do damage control, but it was too late. Their name was scorched across business news, Twitter, X, Reddit, TikTok. Even BuzzFeed did a roundup of corporate scandals that could be Netflix shows. Mine was number 2. I smiled, but the best part, I never even named the company. I let the internet do that part for me. By week 3, I had interview offers from 3 national news outlets, 6 podcasts, and a documentary pitch from an indie filmmaker in LA. I turned down most of them, not because I wasn't tempted. Trust me, every part of me wanted to stand in front of a camera and say, told you so. But that wasn't why I did any of this. I didn't burn it all down for fame. I did it because silence protects predators. And I was done being quiet. But I did say yes to one interview, a long-form podcast with a woman I respected, someone who knew how to ask real questions, not just play for clicks. We recorded in her tiny studio in Brooklyn. No makeup team, no lights. Just 2 women, 2 mics, and a story that was finally ready to be told. I cried once, just once, when she asked, what was the moment you realized they didn't see you as human anymore? And I said, when they fired me by email. After 12 years of loyalty, that's when I knew IA was just an asset to them. A name on a spreadsheet. There was a pause. Then she asked, and now? And I smiled. Now, I'm a F***ing liability. 6 months later, I started my own firm. Not PR, not crisis control, accountability consulting. I help whistleblowers. I coach employees navigating toxic environments. I consult with companies before they get destroyed. Not all of them listen, but the smart ones do. I'm not the same, Rachel, I was a year ago. I don't play nice anymore. I don't soften the blow, or write fake apologies for execs who got caught. I tell the truth, loudly, with receipts. Madison, last I heard, she moved to a smaller city and started working freelance. She tried to rebrand herself as a storytelling strategist. Her content flopped. No one wanted to hear her voice anymore. David, still under investigation, still denying everything, as LinkedIn says in transition. Sure, Dave, aren't we all? Sometimes people ask me if I feel guilty, if I regret going scorched earth, if I ever miss my old job. And I tell them this: I missed the version of me who believed in loyalty, who thought being the smartest and kindest person in the room was enough. But she's gone. She died the day she got an email instead of a conversation. And what rose from her ashes is someone you don't betray twice. So yeah, I got my revenge, and I ruined their lives. But more importantly, I got mine.